Jay here for Stretford Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is Paddock Live, which does what it says on the tin. It's live, which means you lot, yes, you lot have got to get involved in the comments and the chat because, Joe, what are we going to be chatting about tonight? It's an absolute smorgasbord of United content.
It's kicking off ownership-wise. These two fellas here apparently sort of worrying for their jobs potentially. Rumours that Ratcliffe might want to bring his own team in. Murtagh, Arnold on the ropes potentially at United, which is obviously maybe a little bit sad for them. But I think if you look, they'll be just fine. I'm sure they'll
probably get a massive payout.
Yeah, and
him for being inept for the last 2 years, or however long he's been involved for, and him for I don't know what he's done, to be honest with you. He might have done
Went for a pint.
Went for a pint with a load of the 58.
Yeah,
that's it, innit? That's all we know.
Yeah, that's really all we know about him.
I don't know much about him.
We've got people potentially even lined up to replace these guys already. We'll get your opinion, get your opinions at home as well. There's loads coming up. Board meeting tomorrow, we'll get the latest on that. A bit of Rasmus Hojlund having a fight with San Marino and them kicking off back.
I mean,
just a little bit.
As the chant
says,
spat. Who the fuck is San Marino?
I know, yeah.
Touching our man, our boy.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Kneeing him in that.
No one touches our boy except us.
Exactly. If anyone's going to touch our boy around here, it's going to be us.
Fact. Yeah.
So we'll get into all that. So make sure you lot get involved in the chat and the comments. Owen Thompson in Super Chat says, just think the Glazers are here because of a horse. That's the old horse spunk Rock of Gibraltar story.
Is it worth telling that quickly? Because you hear that repeated a lot, and I'm not sure everyone knows it.
The owners who owned the majority shareholding of United, JP McManus was it, and Magnier and McManus, sold a horse, the Rock of Gibraltar, I think, to Fergie, or he had part ownership in it. He wanted the stud rights as well. They weren't willing to give the stud rights to him because they could be worth millions, because obviously you're breeding lots of potentially thoroughbred horses. So they went to court, they fell out with him, they said, right, we're done with United, we just want to get rid of it. They sold their shares to the Glazer family. That's the story of how this has led, or that led to this. Maybe it would have happened anyway, maybe it wouldn't, I don't know, but that is one of the theories. Bernardo Suarez says, I blame Chelsea and Barcelona for not taking Sir Jim's bid. He's saying there he doesn't want Sir Jim, he wants someone else in. Colin Gris says, looking trim, Jay, thank you. Darren says, greetings from Canada. Chris Johnson Adventures, what a name. It says, right, can you clear it up because this is just getting boring now. Is it Qatar or Ratcliffe? I think it's Ratcliffe. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow, but we'll get into all that. In fact, talk us through it, my man.
Yeah, so that's the first thing coming up. There's this board meeting tomorrow, which there was initial reports with that we were going to see this 25% potential bid/purchase of Jim Ratcliffe kind of not necessarily go through, but be sort of agreed upon tomorrow. Then the latest reports are that maybe that's going to wait a little bit. So here we go. United's board meeting on Thursday. Sorry, they meet on Thursday. It's a meeting that has been long in the diary. You're quite long in the diary, aren't you?
I love the pun.
Meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great one. That.
Where's the pun?
You know, you've pushed the boat out here. Meeting tomorrow.
Is there no puns at all today?
Someone's just put in the comments, I hope Ethan is on pun duty tonight. Some Phobos Taco Man has said that, and you've not bothered with any puns.
There's nothing to make puns out of, I tried.
There's nothing to make puns out of it?
I was thinking Year of the Rat for this one.
He said Year of the Rat.
Controversial.
Really
no, I know what you mean.
You could even have had ratified, question mark.
Yeah. Ratified, question mark?
What about that?
Yeah, it's alright.
It's all right.
It's
all right.
It's not as good as meeting tomorrow, though, is it?
Yeah, that's a real rib tickler.
Front of mind will be the proposed purchase of 25% of the club by Sir Jim Ratcliffe after Sheikh Jassim withdrew his bid to buy United on Saturday, leaving the bid from Ratcliffe's Ineos as the only option on the table, and according to a source at United who requested anonymity as they did not have permission to speak for this article, it is now unlikely that a deal will be in place for the club's board of directors to vote on the proposal on Thursday. A potential announcement is considered to be several weeks away. So I don't think the deal itself has taken a backward step, but the potential timeline for it, where maybe people are putting two and two together in terms of there's a board meeting on Thursday, they've essentially seemingly agreed to this happening on Saturday. I guess they'll be voting for it on Thursday. Well, actually,
you could have had board meeting, and board was on board of it. Yeah, could have had that. You what?
You thought of that? What, did you just deem it to be too shit, did you? He's let you say it though.
Right, well, you're right, meeting tomorrow was far better. I mean, look, it's just getting a bit like back and forth, and we get one step forward, two steps back. It's going to be Sir Jim, but but actually he's only taking 25%. But at least you're going to know by Thursday what his actual proposal is. Well, actually, you're not going to know by Thursday because this board meeting that was apparently to vote on the 25% thing isn't to vote on the 25% thing at all. It was already arranged, it's already in the diary, so they're not going to have time to vote on it. So we've got to wait another few weeks now. Part of me feels like we've waited that long anyway, what's a few more weeks? And another part of me feels like I want to know what is going on because this isn't him buying all the Glazer shares. This is the Glazer staying on. So I want to know how that looks like. So it is really frustrating. Hit that like button, people. You might not like what's going on, but hit the like. Let's get to 300 likes. David Harvey says, Joe, are you giving a sermon on your way home?
What's the thingy sermon? Who's played for Bournemouth?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Does anyone know? Do you know?
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. Carl? Not Carl.
Sermon who used to play for Bournemouth. Does anyone know? I don't know. You look like the guy off the...
Sermon on the
you look like Steve Jobs.
Andrew Sermon, thank you.
I think you've got a Steve Jobs giving a TED Talk type of thing.
Jobsian vibes.
Jobsian vibes? What's that? What's Jobsian vibes? Oh, right, yeah. Oh, Jobsian.
Yeah, Jobsian.
I thought you meant like a double act. Jobsian vibes.
No.
Like, you know. Like
Jobsy.
Laurel and Hardy. Jobsy and vibes.
No, Jobsian.
Jobsian vibes.
sort of
Yeah, you give me
Orwellian.
Jobsian vibes. Like, yeah. You're about to launch the iPhone 2.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on from this board meeting because we're all bored of it.
Board meeting, more like board meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, Owen Thompson says, lads, hope I'm wrong, but I don't have faith in Jimmy. I get that a lot of people have issue with Qatar, but I just see it going south really fast.
Well, I don't know. I remain optimistic for now. Obviously, the situation isn't ideal, but let's not rule anything out before it's even happened. Do you know what I mean? We've got no evidence whatsoever that Jim Ratcliffe is going to be a bad owner for Manchester United. I know obviously people can say he's not been a raring success or a raging success, whatever, at Nice, but he leaves them in second place. Oh, no, not leaves them, but they're in second place in the league at the minute. They've not been awful. Like, they're better, you know, they've done a good, like, he's not been amazing, but he's certainly not been cataclysmic for Nice, has he?
No.
So we've seen plenty of owners with big money, Qatari level money, for instance, the owners of PSG, you know, spending all that money and getting a few league titles for it. I guess it's pretty good, but they outspend the rest of the league by about 8 times, and they win the league, and they've never really looked like winning a European Cup. Like, it's easy to waste a lot of money as well. So, you know, let's remain positive where we can. And again, we don't even know what the proposal is yet. But this is one potential proposal.
Yeah.
Again, coming from multiple different sources, we've seen this. So this is Paul Mitchell, who isn't from EastEnders. He's not the third Mitchell brother, is he?
Right, okay. He's not Grant, and who was the other one? Phil,
yeah. It's nothing to do with them. But he is top of the list,
right,
to be made sporting director by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Former Spurs head of recruitment Paul Mitchell is favourite for the role, putting the position of current football director John Murtagh at serious risk. The club have been happy with the role of Murtagh, and new chief exec Richard Arnold have played since Ed Woodward's departure early last year. Ratcliffe, however, was less than impressed when he visited Old Trafford earlier this year. Newcastle's Dan Ashworth and former Liverpool Supremo Michael Edwards have also been mentioned. Did you hear that? There's a bit of a rumour today about some of the transfers that United have made and Jim Ratcliffe not necessarily thinking that they were particularly wise investments. I think Casemiro was one that was mentioned. Again, I don't know how true it is, and why is that only coming out now? How do we have this info now when we didn't have it 6 months ago when he sort of toured Old Trafford? But that was one of the rumours, is that, you know, signings like Casemiro on a 4-year deal was something that
I think we're going to get into that.
Too keen on.
I think we're going to... Oh, yeah, here we are.
Oh, here we go. Look, perfect. This is The Guardian. So, Ratcliffe raised this during the presentation given to him on the 17th of March by United hierarchy in the Jimmy Murphy Centre at the club's Carrington training base. So many bits of info in 2 sentences there, aren't there?
Right,
in one sentence. So Ratcliffe raised this. So that's, first of all, we're saying Ratcliffe has raised something.
Yeah.
During the presentation, so there's a presentation going on. It was on the 17th of March.
Yeah.
It was delivered by the United hierarchy.
Yeah.
It was in the Jimmy Murphy Centre. It was at the club's Carrington training base.
Yeah.
That's fucking 7 bits of info.
That is a
in
lot.
one sentence. That's a lot. It's difficult to digest.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
a lot of it is
Jobsy.
That is Jobsy,
right?
and a lot of it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Right? Do we need to know that the presentation wasn't just given by United, it was given by United's hierarchy?
Yeah.
Also, it didn't just take place at Carrington.
No.
It took place in the Jimmy Murphy Centre.
You might as well say, Ratcliffe raised this during the presentation on the 17th of March 2023 by United's hierarchy in the Jimmy Murphy Training Centre at the club's Carrington training base, Manchester, England, Earth. solar system.
We couldn't give you the time
universe.
at about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Whilst the rain poured down and splattered against the windows.
Jimmy Jackson wrote this.
Yeah, didn't it? Our mate Jamie Jackson.
Oh, actually, no, I love it.
He's
no,
such a.
actually, it's perfect.
Hey, I think Jamie might have had some word counts to meet there.
Yeah.
It's like, I need 500 words
So much
on this.
info.
And he's like, I've already written about it so many times, I've got nothing left to say. I've only got this one little story I can say. All right, I'll stretch it out.
Yeah.
I bet he's done that thing as well, where you make words white on your page.
Yeah.
And then you send it so it looks like you got more.
But it's not. Do you know what I mean? We need this sentence to be more
Do you know what I
dense,
mean?
Jamie.
Yeah.
So far, it's loose. It's croissant at the minute. We need it to be sourdough. Just absolutely packed.
Nice and succinct.
Yeah.
Not to tell.
Crunch it down.
Not
Crunch
to
it.
tell you how to do your job, because you can do it far better than we can.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We are here to critique, and you're a friend, so we feel perfectly comfortable doing that.
During that meeting, Ratcliffe suggested that the choice of the players signed by United in the past few seasons had not always been the most prudent. As an example, he pointed to Casemiro's purchase for €60 million the previous August from Real Madrid. The midfielder was 30 years old and was given a 4-year contract of about £350,000 per week. Now, we found ourselves in a
Casemiro,
desperate spot there, didn't we?
It's what has looked like a good signing. He's now being one that is being questioned by a lot of people. So if this is true, and if he's in capital letters, then he's probably been right to question it. Because I think you can question it. You might agree that it was worth doing, or you might say, no, do you know what? 30-year-old, 4-year deal, 350k a week. He's already looking a bit ropey. Is this beginning of the end of him, or is he just having a little bit of a bad spell? But I don't really have too much of a problem with him questioning that one, because it's a lot of money for a long-term deal, on a long-term deal for a player that, I don't know, there's questions there, isn't there? Because I like Casemiro, and I've said this a million times, but when he's on at the top of his game, he's as good as any midfielder in the world, genuinely. Yeah. When he's not, he's woeful. And he's had too many bad games for United. He has. The amount of good games he's had and the amount of bad games he's had is not that different. It really isn't. People might laugh, but go through his games, and he had a lot of games where it took him a while to get going, took him a while when he come back from the suspension, other games where he's just not been involved. Obviously, against Brentford, he had probably his worst game in the United shirt, was subbed at half-time. We know he's got the quality there, so we can still turn it around. I'm not throwing him under the bus going, I've given up on him. I just think so far, he's been all right as a signing. He's not been amazing.
And also, even then, so even if you look at it, I'm assuming, obviously, this was on the 17th of March. So this was not long after we'd won the Carabao Cup.
Which is when his stock was probably highest,
starting role. So I don't think he's even questioning it, thinking about his form. I think if you just look at the components of that deal, if you look at it as a mathematical equation, 30-year-old plus 4-year deal plus 350 grand a week equals questionable decision, doesn't it? Yeah. Regardless of who it is, unless you're getting, I think, Bayern Munich did a similar thing with Harry Kane, but that's because you're buying a proven goal scorer, a central defensive midfielder for 350k a week. I can see why you would question that. I think he's been a good signing. I think he'll, turn his current form around, but that's almost not the point. And the date sort of proves that. It is just a strange. And also, the other thing is, you can almost take it away from Casemiro and say, he wasn't even the target. We fought for De Jong all summer.
Even
and
Rabiot.
Then ended up with him.
Even Rabiot was before him.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of question marks around the deal, even taking Casemiro's form out of it. Just the abstract numbers and the way the deal unfolded was haphazard, last minute, rushed, nervous, back foot, like all of these phrases and quotes that you don't really want associated with a deal. It had all of them. So, yeah, that's fair enough, I think.
No, I think you're right. I think he was right to question it, and he might even be proven to be right, because it might prove to be a bit of a bad one, but we'll see. Yeah. Let's talk about Hojlund versus San Marino. This is a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Rasmus Hojlund played against San Marino last night. You can read this here.
Sorry, just before we do move, just one question for you.
Yeah.
Would you get rid of Murto and Arnold?
Yes.
How come?
Arnold I don't care about. I just feel that it might be a sort of changing of the guard thing where you go, look, I'm a new guy come in, I want a new CEO, whatever. I don't mind Arnold. I don't know enough about him to make a decision. Even I think Murtau's overrated. I don't think he's done anything that's impressed me since he took over. We hear that he's involved in transfers. We hear that he's the guy that's been making some of these deals. Tell me a good deal United have done other than Bruno Fernandes. And even that, I think, was under Woodward.
The one I would say was decent was Eriksen. I thought it was quite a shrewd deal.
What, 3-year deal for someone who's 30, who's died?
But again,
Like, I'm not being horrible. I love Christian Eriksen, but is that really that astute?
He wasn't dead when we signed
No, but
him.
he's that, like,
No,
we
I
gave
think,
him a
to be
long-term
fair,
deal when
the scouting was
we
good.
don't know how long he's going to be
It's a
around
really good
for. I don't
point,
mean
actually.
as in terms of alive. I mean in terms of his ability and his form and his capabilities to play at the top level for the next 3 or 4 years, whatever it was. It's a long-term deal for someone who is literally wearing a machine that keeps him alive.
Yeah.
Like, is that a great deal? That?
In a way, Jay, we're all wearing a machine that keeps us alive. It's called the human body. But secondly, it's called hope. Secondly, I'd like to agree with you now, because if you think about it, John Murtaugh didn't do the scouting. No. He didn't pick the player. All he did was give him a 3-year deal.
Brentford, who knew him, who'd had him, he basically carried him for half the season.
Yeah.
They went, we'll give you a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
And he went, and then United went, we'll give you 1 more year.
Yeah.
So, again, are we giving Murtaugh... He gets props for Mason Mount. Oh, Mason, I remember well, he probably fed the press it. Things have changed at United now. Great bit of business. 60 million for a Champions League winner. He was out of contracts in 8 months. Yeah. Chelsea, like, okay, they wanted to keep him, but they couldn't afford to get rid of him because there were about 80 other midfielders. Yeah. So it wasn't that amazing a deal. I've just not seen anything from Murtaugh where I go, buzzing. Do you know what I mean? If he'd have got me an Alvarez or a... I don't know.
Or even a big player on a low wage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Something
like,
where you go, oh, wow,
okay, you've done a little bit of business there, kid.
Yeah.
I've not seen anything from it, so I won't lose any sleep if he leaves. Talk about Rasmus Hojlund.
Yeah, so this was a weird one last night. Obviously, Hojlund and Denmark was playing against San Marino, and I think the game was sort of unusually or uncharacteristically tight, which is what I think led to this level of animosity. Because usually San Marino, they've kind of... they can have a bit of a laugh at themselves because they're 13-0 down. But this game, I think they were only 2-1 down, weren't they, going into extra time?
Yeah.
Did the game end 2-1 in the end? It ended 2-1. So obviously
San Marino got a goal, man.
And to equalise.
Yeah.
So this is one of the very few times in their history. I think they've won once or twice ever. Yeah. One of the very few times in their history they could have a chance at beating someone. A team that's won, the European Championships and a big team in Denmark. They're not a shit team by any chance. So I think the combo of that ended up bringing the worst out of some of the San Marino players. So Hojlund got clattered through his back, terrible tackle, not going for the ball. Arguably could have been a red, but certainly a dangerous one, the painful one. And he's obviously known to have had this back injury. So he said, "I understand Italian, and I could hear that some of them were running around and saying nasty things to me. They were pushing and shoving, and they were grabbing onto me aggressively. When we scored, I showed them the flag." With a bit of a shush gesture, and apparently they couldn't handle that, so they started pushing and engaging in such things. They said, "Wait for the next action and we'll smash you." So it was more or less threats. I still haven't seen how my back is doing now.
Wait for the next action's a weird threat.
Yeah.
Wait for the next action.
What do you mean?
Sunshine.
And I'll smash you.
Plenty more actions where that one came from.
Yeah.
What are you on about?
It is slightly bizarre. So we've got a couple more quotes here, obviously not on the graphic, but he says, "I find it incredibly disrespectful that they were hitting and grabbing, especially the guy over there. He began pulling me and holding on to me excessively. It was 100% them who started it, and the game just escalated. They ended up taking it to the next level since they had nothing to lose. They knew they might as well try and ruin someone else's career." It doesn't say it on here, but there was a rumour as well that someone had one of the other Danish players had overheard a San Marino player saying, "Go for his knee," talking about Hojlund, trying to hurt him. Then we got Roberto Di Mau, a reaction, who's a San Marino defender, as in he plays in defence for San Marino, not he just
he's
defends
a spokesperson who's sticking up for him.
He also, by the looks of it, is sort of 155, 160 years old?
Is he a San Marino? He's a San Marino defender, and he also manages a cost cutter in
How old is he?
40.
40! He is 40! He looks older than you, Jay.
He looks like he could be my dad.
So he replied on Instagram today, saying, "Today I read that Mr. 80 million, which already is the most Donald Trump thing to say."
Today
and it is
the Mr. 80 million.
Mr. $80 million.
Because yesterday he received less than great treatment. I've got such great treatment, but this wasn't it.
Well, dear. Love it. So passive-aggressive. So Simon Cowell. Yeah. Well, dear, probably in football like today, where physical contact has disappeared, you can allow yourself to make fun of us little opponents with ugly and repeated gestures, or to simulate at every opportunity, hoping for the VAR for a penalty. I would have liked to see you 15 years ago, when only real men.
I'd like to see you 15 years ago when I just turned 35.
Yeah, and you were 5. I really would have kicked the shit out of you then when you were just leaving reception. He said, I would like to have seen you 15 years ago when only real men played football. You were a disappointment, Hojlund. Good luck. I mean, he did score a goal and beat you. But that isn't the reaction of someone that
Do you know
is
when this,
denying
do you know when
the
this
claim.
40-year-old man started playing for San Marino?
Well, presumably at least 15
Guess
years
when
ago.
guess when he made his debut
It has to be
for San Marino?
2000.
No.
What?
Mate, he made his debut for San Marino this year.
Fuck off!
He's got 8
Wait,
caps.
what? I would love to have seen you 15 years ago when I was just a washing machine
He
repair
was born
salesman.
in 1982, obviously.
What?
And he made his debut for San Marino this year.
He's literally just a 40-year-old bloke who they found in San Marino.
Like, he's had a lot of clubs.
How
None
is
of
that
whom
possible?
I recognise. And yeah, he made his debut this year. He's played 8 times for him. So I don't know what's going on there.
What on earth? So yeah, so 15 years ago, when Rasmus Hojlund was 5, when he wasn't even a footballer, he would love to have kicked the shit out of him then. I mean, it's just a dickhead's reaction.
He waited 15 years so he could be a naturalised citizen, or what a citizen so he could qualify because he's Italian.
Right.
So he waited 15 years because he's obviously too shit to play for Italy.
Yeah.
Waited 15 years, got his debut at the age of
Snuck in
40.
basically to international football.
Which is a nice story for everyone. A bit of, never give up on your dreams. And then started giving it all the big into. I read that Mr. £80 million man.
Yeah.
He's complaining.
He would have liked to have seen you 15 years ago when he was too shit to play for the country he then could represent. And instead, the only way you could ever even play against Rasmus Hojlund is by playing for San Marino.
When 15 years ago, he was playing for ASD Victor San Marino, who have a capacity at their stadium of 2,000.
Yeah.
So he was absolutely balling big time.
Stretford,
He was basically
Paddock
playing
FC,
at a ground that's half the size of Droylsden's 15 years ago.
It's just a dickhead's reaction. Also, and I know it shouldn't really come down to this, but you're a 40-year-old bloke. He is a 20-year-old lad who obviously is an adult, but he's young enough to be your son. And you would think that, the next generation of strikers just got his big move to a big club. The bitterness and just the nastiness of that, you just think, mate, you're not even a footballer. Like, you're only there because you play for the smallest country in Europe. Don't give it the big one like you're dead hard. Just fuck off.
Yeah, just
annoying.
Absolute bellend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And
So
the fact
anyway,
that he's waited all those years to get his cap, and then the only reason anyone knows him is because he's spouting shite about Rasmus Hojlund. It's ridiculous. Should be grateful to share a football pitch with him, you absolute whopper. Let's talk about United women.
Yeah, so firstly, unfortunately, we've got the new facility, but they also lost tonight.
They lost to PSG, 3-1 on the night, 4-2 on aggregate.
Yeah.
I saw some of the decisions that went against Manchester United
What
women,
was that
and they were
disallowed
horrendous.
goal?
There was a disallowed goal that looked like there was nothing in it.
But they said
there was an offside where he was about she was about 3 yards onside. Someone was playing her onside. It's I think the linesman or the linesperson, missed it. I don't want to go into it because I didn't watch the full game, but it looked like some horrendous decisions. So I do feel sorry for Mark Skinner's team, but I know they're out of the Champions League at the first hurdle. No shame in losing to PSG, especially when you've had some questionable decisions.
Very questionable.
Go on, talk us through this.
Yeah, so United have unveiled a new facility for the women's team, £7 million. The building includes a gym, rehab areas, changing rooms, kit and boot rooms, a first team restaurant, complete with a live cooking area, analysis and meeting rooms, a players' lounge, and the development has continued despite the strategic review launched by the Glazer family in November. Chief Operating Officer Colette Roach said, "We are doing this strategic review for a very positive reason. We have a real ambition and a plan at United. We want to make sure we attract the right investment to deliver that. Sorry, the right investment to deliver that.
You should have built this and done all this before you restarted the women's team. Because you remember when it's Casey Stoney who left because the facilities weren't great.
Yeah.
So it's like a bit back to front, and it feels like, again, it's an afterthought. If you're going to do something right, I'm not going to pretend that I watched a lot of the United women's team. I don't. What I want with my football club, though, is I want everything from the women's team to the training facilities, to the men's team, to the academy, to the ground, to be elite level.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. Yeah. I don't want anything that is embarrassing to United. Yeah. And I think when you've got a team that represents Manchester United playing in facilities or training at facilities or even going down to Lee Sports Village, no disrespect, well, shouldn't be playing at Lee Sports Village. No. I've gone down there to watch under 23s quite a few times. Why? Why have we not got a designated stadium for the academy, the under 23s and women's team? It's ridiculous. You have to go all the way down to Lee, and all right, you might live near there, but it's a mooch from Old Trafford. I just think it's a bit of a shambles. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction, but it's a little bit late for me anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and obviously, it's pretty standard sort of stuff in there that you'd expect, but you would expect it slightly earlier, like you said. What was it, 4 years into this sort of the second wave of Man United's women's team?
And it's just been a half-hearted attempt. And we've lost a lot of our best players to teams that are paying a decent wage, and that shouldn't be happening at Manchester United, whether it's the women's team or the men's team. You know what? If we're going to be Manchester United, then we need to start acting like it. And hopefully, and I say hopefully because I don't know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe can help us towards that, but I'm not going to hold my breath just yet, because the first thing we want to see is the Glazers gone, and from what we gather, that's not going to happen immediately, but we might be seeing the end of John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold. As always, we'll keep you posted. We're back tomorrow with the news. It's going to be me in the morning, then later on we've got it all going on tomorrow.
Loads going on.
Censored, Off the Bar, plus we've got an interview later on this week with the 1958 as well, so we'll be getting their thoughts on Sir Jim Ratcliffe and what he holds for the future and any planned protests, because the Glazers are still at the club and we need to get them gone. Yeah. Joe, where can people find you?
Well, hopefully climbing Ben Nevis on Saturday.
Have a good one, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Joe's not going to be here for a little while, so when are you back?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, so we're back on Tuesday. So for this weekend, it'll be me and Abdullah on the watch along, so make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Joe Smith, I've been Jay Motti. This has been Paddock Live. Thanks for watching.